prospect with integrity, we will get customers who have integrity. Integrity is the foundation from which everything is built on.
You better understand value. But at the end of the day, sales is a relationship business. It is a people business. It is an emotional business.
This is Sales Logic.
This is Sales Logic, the show where we dive into the strategies, discuss the steps, everything that you need to know to sell effectively in today's marketplace. I'm hanging out here with my partner, Mark Hunter. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. We got a great show. We're going to be talking about why you're losing deals. Now, not talking about you, talking about the audience, why you're losing deals that you should be winning. Hey, it's a critical issue. Everyone faces it. That's the topic. We got a great lightning round about really following up and how you do that well. So let's jump in. Why are we losing? Why are our audience members losing deals that they should be winning? What do you think?
I think far too often that we're solving the wrong problem. Like, that if the only reason I think you lose a deal to the competition is because the competition did a better job of proving why they're the better choice. And that could be price. You know what I mean? Like if that's all that the person feels like they're comparing, then then it could be price. But did they really understand the return on investment that if they chose you over the competition?
I totally agree with that. And it comes down to they didn't take enough time to really understand what is the need that the customer has, which is critical because what happens is salespeople are racing through to try to get to the close. Mm-hmm. And they're not spending enough discovery time up front. And if you don't spend enough discovery time up front asking the right question, there's a critical piece in here. It's called buyer intent. And we've talked about this before. But buyer intent is becoming more and more critical. And within that, there's what I call the MOD, the moment of demand. In other words, the moment of demand. This is one when the customer realizes that they got a problem, that they've got to fix it. And that's the thing, like you just said. The salesperson doesn't realize what it is. They're trying to solve something else. But two, it's the moment when the customer is ready to make a decision. In other words, okay, this is the value proposition, this lines up. And that's where salespeople strike out more times than not, and somebody else gets the deal.
Yeah, I think another reason that salespeople lose, or we lose deals that we should be winning, it's because we need the deal. I mean, I was talking with a group last night. We were having dinner with another couple, and we were talking about AI. And it was an article about AI and the fact that, one of the biggest ways we learn is by watching people. And while AI can go out and get all the information, it doesn't learn visually, and how important that component is. And it made me think about the fact that our communication is only 6% of how people connect with us or communicate. It's everything else that is going on. So if any part of you feels desperate or appears needy, then you're going to set yourself up to lose the deal.
Without a doubt, because again, it comes back to we're not chasing the right thing. And chasing is a bad term because chasing says that we drive the process. No, we don't drive the process. The customer drives the process. And again, this comes back to, are we selling on our journey or are we allowing the customer to buy on their journey? And they're going to buy on their journey. That's when they are without a doubt ready to make the decision.
Yeah, I love what Bryn Tillman is popping in here and saying, because we are not mastering the ask-offer ratio. The buyer doesn't believe that what you are asking from them isn't worth the offer you are providing. So true. It comes down to the value prop. But I'm going to again go into this idea. If you don't own the conversation, if you don't really walk in there really, really confident, then you're going to end up losing the deal, even if you have the better offer.
Oh, without a doubt. And what happens here is that we are not articulating enough what our value proposition. Thank you so much, Gina. MOD, the moment of demand. It's something we got to be thinking about. And again, there's two elements to it. When the customer realizes they have a problem, and when they're ready to make the decision. Jack is jumping in. Bankers miss the PIM and MIM all the time. People in motion and money in motion. These are two key secrets to earning more new relationships. And Jack, I'll share, that's not only in the banking industry, but every industry, fundamental to sales. We are not joining the customer on their journey.
Yeah, I love this. I've never heard of PIM and MIM. I love that. I love the Jack. I also love the new artistic rendering of you. Boy, I got to put Bryn's comment up here. Deals are lost because the salesperson is a narcissist. Boom, like just lower the boom, right? I'll speak for Bryn. I think what she's saying is we're so self-involved. We're so focused. We're so focused on ourselves that it costs us the deal. We're not picking up the clues or the signs that the call is going a different direction.
It's so true because, again, narcissist, I think that's a great example. Thank you, Bryn, because what it says is that we are not taking the time to truly listen to the customer. It's the buyer's journey, not the seller's journey. Now, let's come back to this whole piece because I think the reason we're playing narcissist role is because we understand what it is that we can do. We understand. But I'll tell you what, our customer doesn't. Our customer doesn't. And in the end, our customer doesn't care. The customer doesn't care about what it is that we do. They care about solving their problem. So until we cross that bridge, until we are allowing them to articulate clearly what it is, because many times the customer doesn't really truly understand what is their problem. They think they know what their problem is. They think they know what it is that they solve. But you can come in and put a little different spin on it, a little different light by asking the right question, developing the relationship, and then it's amazing at what can happen.
Yeah, I love what Terry Brock is weighing in here. Today, we have the opportunity to do some serious research with tools like ChatGPT-5 and Perplexity Labs that really dig into what people are really looking for. And that's how you really target the customer journey. I mean, you've got to go in there. If you want to win deals, I go back to this idea of owning the conversation. You've got to go in there confident and sure that you can help people. I also think I ask salespeople all the time, why should I choose you over the competition? And if that can't roll off your tongue, you're going to lose that deal. If you don't know why you should win the deal, why would the customer know why you should win the deal?
And that's not being arrogant. That's just being confident that you have the solution. Terry, you bring up a great, talking about chat, talking about AI. And of course, we have the sales logic brain. And I put the question that was asked to us this week. In fact, now's a great time to bring it up. It comes from Lucia in Seattle. She says, I love the show. I'm a new listener. We got a lot of new listeners. The question she's asking, I'm killing myself and cannot get my deals across the finish line. I get to proposal stage and then they go cold or I lose to my competition. Really need help. It's exactly what we're talking about. So I put that into the brain. And one of the things that the brain came back is, do you really understand the purchase intent, the buyer intent, the buyer need? And again, it's because we're not asking difficult enough questions early on to really allow the customer to articulate what the problem is. And when we ask the question, we can't automatically assume what the answer is. I love it. Hey, Jack's got a great comment here. The best salespeople ask the best questions. You're right. The buyer has the answers. The seller has the questions. That's totally inverse to what too many salespeople go to market believing.
Yeah, I wonder if our listener who has the question this week too is really personalizing and customizing everything that she's putting across in that proposal. I mean, a proposal should speak a lot to what you literally discussed in the conversation. I mean, just like I think we lose sight of the fact that we have a lingo and we have a language inside our own industries. And it is not the lingo and the language that the customer uses. And when we present a proposal, it should be based off the actual words that we heard from them. And that should be part of the presentation so that they feel heard and they feel listened to, which again, communication is only 6%. I mean, words are only 6% of how you communicate. It's everything else. And if I'm going to buy from you, I want to ensure you really understood what I'm looking for.
That brings up a key piece that so many salespeople leave off. They get to the proposal and they put this kind of the proposal they take off the shelf and hand it to the customer. And again, if you are not coming back and articulating the problem that the customer has, because there's two things that are happening here. One, you are validating once again what the problem is, which is absolutely key, because again, that's the only reason the customer is buying. Two, the customer is now feeling the pain. And I hate to play this emotional game, but it is an emotional game, because now you're allowing the customer to feel the pain of the problem they solve and the reason they need to make the decision. It comes back to that moment of demand. In other words, now they know they have the need. Now they're ready because, again, you've put the right proposal, and it's their proposal, not some, I took it out of the soup aisle and here it is for you, the recipe you should make today.
Yeah, Brendan's making a great comment here. Leadership has to adjust KPIs to reflect and affect outcomes. And I tell you, leadership usually tries to do that. But I got to tell you, success comes down to the salesperson's willingness to assess their own results. When you win a deal, you should figure out why you won a deal. Like, I can tell you right now, I win more deals based on referral than I win them any other way. If the person has been referred to me by somebody else, or they have followed my content online, are a big reason that I lose deals. The ones I lose more often than not, people just are reaching out to me cold, or it came through a source that isn't a referral source. But if you don't know the answer to that, then you're not progressively getting better at your sales process.
That is so good. And Bryn brings up this great point, because so many times salespeople get lost in the fog. We get lost, and you got to cut through the fog. And it's about that individual customer and their issue. Natalie, a Sales Logic Mastermind member. Yes, the last Sales Logic Expert Exchange we had with Andrea Waltz, where she really talked about how you really got to cut through and listen to the no. Listen to the no, and what are they saying in the no? And how do you run with that? Absolutely key.
Yeah, so we've got a junior sales person here, just wondering if tone of voice and the way you encounter a potential customer should depend on what market you're in or what you are selling.
I like that question, and I truly believe it matters in any market, in any geographical industry. It does not matter, because the customer is going to very quickly realize if you have commission breath. They are very quickly going to realize if you're trying to close, if you are just a number to them, that they want to close the deal. The way you overcome this is you have to go in absolutely believing that you have the customer's best interest in mind, and you are committed to helping them achieve an outcome that they didn't think was possible. If you go in with truly believing that passion, it's amazing how it's going to come across in your tone of voice. It's going to come across in your body language. It's going to come across everything. People always say that in terms of our podcast, Meredith. I mean, I know you hear that. We get listeners all the time say, I get so much value out of it because I can really tell that Mayor and you, Mark, are absolutely dialed in on helping us. It comes across in how we speak, how we communicate.
Yeah, I want to expand on this too a little bit, because I think this is such an important topic. You do need to be mindful of who's in front of you and how you connect and how you engage with them. I'll go back to the years when I was a banker, and the first time I showed up to do an ag loan, I went out there in my little 2-inch heels and my little suit to a tobacco farm. That really dates me back when we had tobacco farms, to try to do an ag loan, to try to win some business. Well, I lost that business 100%, I believe, based on how I looked. I didn't fit in. Like, why would they trust me when I don't even, like, how I was dressed screamed that I do not understand my client. So if you're selling to the shop floor, dress accordingly. If you're going into the C-suite, dress accordingly. This is not about expressing your individual style. How we look and how we behave very much tells the customer that this relationship is more about them than it is about us, and you've taken the time to get to know and understand them.
And that comes back to why also we want to use the customer's language in our proposal. We use the customer's language and how we're communicating with them. Because again, that's the same thing. Because again, there's the visual, how we look, there's the verbal, how we talk, and the same thing with emotional. In other words, when I'm in front of a customer that is incredibly stoic, you bet I'm going to be quite a bit more stoic in my physical mannerisms. Again, I hate, it's kind of creepy when you're saying you're mirroring the customer's body language, but to a certain degree you are. You're absolutely. Gina Cart jumps in again, capturing the exact words from the customer is easier using a tool like Udemy or Zoom or Cast Magic in person. You're right, because again, we can record the conversation, we can go back and listen to it, and again use this in our follow-up conversation. Absolutely key. We are becoming like them. That's who customers want to buy from. People who are like them.
Absolutely, absolutely. I used to get in trouble a lot when I would talk in corporate America about paying attention to how you dress. But I do think it is so important. Like I said, you can't show up to call on a group of physicians dressed like you're going to the tobacco farm, and you can't show up at the tobacco farm dressed like you're headed into the board meeting. I think it's respectful. I think what we are figuring out, I know in fact of what we are figuring out for the question this week, is the fact that you need to analyze, as Terry Brock is saying here, you need to do that assessment and really look at, if I were sitting in your shoes and I were getting deals to proposal, I would really sit down and I would probably get a colleague or a peer and say, could we walk through this? Because I don't know where I'm disconnecting. I mean, we haven't even talked about the fact of, we don't even know if you're talking to the right person. We don't even know if you are spending your time talking to the person who's the decision maker. So you may be doing absolutely everything right, but it's landing on the wrong ears.
And it comes back to, are you validating the customer right up front? Are you asking the right discovery questions to again, really ascertain as to whether or not, because too many times salespeople, and the reason people lose deals, and Lucia, this very well could be you could be staying in the game because the customer is giving you feedback. The customer is responding, the customer is willing to have meetings, so forth. That doesn't mean they're a capable buyer. They are capable of buying from you. Again, happy talk does not turn into closed deals. It just does not happen, period.
Yeah, I also think that, I know it's going to be part of the lightning round, but a lot of times you mentioned in your question that the deal went cold. And a lot of times the deal went cold. It has nothing to do with you. And if you don't really have a value add follow-up system in place, you're not going to get that deal across the finish line. I can't tell you how much business I close because I'm like a barnacle on a boat. You are never going to get rid of me. You can't chip me off. And so you've got to have this value. You've got to stay in touch with people. You may have pitched the right pitch, but the timing was wrong for something that's no fault of your own.
Well, and that brings up the whole thing that going cold, there's two pieces to it. You could be going cold on them because you haven't delivered on their value proposition, or they could be going cold on themselves because, again, they're sidetracked. They got other issues going on. Either way, you've got something you've got to work through. But I love the whole idea of a barnacle. But being a barnacle does not mean buy from me, buy from me, buy from me. Being a barnacle means you're bringing value every time. You and I have both talked about this a lot in the number of deals we've closed because we've stayed in contact with the customer time and time again. And eventually they do come around to buy from us.
Yeah, I always say, what do you think the chances are that you're going to interact with somebody at the exact moment they're ready to buy? And the chances are that's really, that it's really slim to none. Mark, I got to call out the fact that for listeners out there, if you do have questions, this show, next show, put them in the chat. Oh my God, we have some serious sales experts on this show right now, listening to us that could give you higher quality answers that we can. I've just got to call out Bryn, Terry, Gina, Jack. Just unbelievable. Natalie is just a genius when it comes to, sales. So chime in there.
Yeah. And we were talking earlier about that whole idea of using Udemy or Gong, so forth. Within the Sales Logic Mastermind, if you remember, there's a tool in there that you can actually role play your call before you go in on the call. You can literally set the customer up the way you want it to, and you can literally role play. And that's an incredibly powerful tool. And again, it's another reason I'll say you got to join the Sales Logic Mastermind to be able to take advantage of that. Absolutely key. Hey, wow, time is absolutely is racing by, but I'll tell you what, again, got a great comment. Gina Carr is calling out how the line barnacle on a boat. You're right. You got to love the visual. Think about that. Am I a barnacle on a boat?
Yeah,
And
I always
again,
I always tell male salespeople, I'd be very glad you never dated me in high school. I'd probably be standing there when you were walking down the aisle going, are you sure? Do you change your mind one more time?
Oh, wow. We could go into no, we won't go into those conversations. So anyway, hey, let's jump into the book. Oh, we got to bring up, CHIP, I should say. Brin's great acronym. CHIRP. It's challenge, history, or working through the issue, impact on the business, risk of not making a challenge to be the priority in their business. Absolute gold wisdom from Brin. So thank you so much. Hey, we love Dave Sanderson is jumping in right here. Are you friction or fuel? That's a great, take a step back. Are you friction? Are you causing a problem for the customer? Or are you giving fuel to them to help them solve it? Absolutely powerful. Wow, time is racing by.
I know.
We got to jump to the book. Great book comes to us from Keenan out of Colorado, and it's Gap Selling. Wow. I mean, I'll tell you what, that book's been around now about 10 years, I'm thinking.
Yeah, and it is still so unbelievably relevant. I just listened to it again on Audible. I've read it twice, and I just listened to it on Audible. But it's just a great, if you're struggling to get the deal to close, it lays in the gap. You close the gap, you'll get the deal across the finish line.
And he breaks it down to show you exactly how to do it. So absolutely good. Hey, are you ready for the lightning round?
I am.
Top 10 follow-up moves.
Top 10 follow-up moves. Number 1, have a follow-up strategy. Make sure your follow-up strategy, 70% value add, 30% asking for the business.
Number 2, you got to do it. You got to follow up. Don't wait for the customer to follow up. You got to take the lead on this.
Yeah. Number 3, I would say schedule it. Make sure that you don't leave it to chance, or that you wake up in the middle of the night remembering that you never followed up on that customer.
As you follow up, play back to what the customer shared with you on previous conversations, previous emails. Make sure you embed that back into your follow-up. It demonstrates your listening.
Yeah, mix up the medium. Use all different types of channels, all different types of ways to follow up.
Make sure you're bringing value and interest to them. And the more timely and relevant you can make it to them, the more relevant they're going to see you. Yeah,
really personalize that follow-up. Find a way to really, as Mark said, make references to things in the conversation, but add on the things that Terry Brock said with using the research, like show you're a step ahead of them.
Show them that you are the expert. Sometimes in your follow, you say, hey, this is what we did for this company. This is how we help them. Go ahead and do that because it demonstrates your success. And again, you don't want to overwhelm them with that, but they have to be sure that, hey, this is not your first rodeo.
Yeah, use it in the way that you are adding value. Make sure that you're continuing to position yourself as a resource and an expert in the follow-up. So I feel like a lot of times follow-up is a way that they're getting more comfortable with you.
Yeah. Hey, I'll share one more. You share one more, and we'll close it down. The deeper you go into the follow-up, you got to keep it simple. Keep your planned proposal simple. Don't overcomplicate things. Remember, a complicated customer is not going to make a buying decision. Keep it simple. Make it easy for them to say yes.
Yeah. And the last I'm going to say is that be a barnacle on a boat, like commit to the follow-up system. Realize it is the most neglected part of the sales process and the most important part of the sales process.
Hey, we got so many new listeners that are chiming in here. We got Matthew who just popped in. He said, hey, I came in late, but I'm going to catch up. Thank you so much. And our other new listener, he says, hey, what's a great book you recommend? I'll kind of tease it out there. What's a great sales book that you suggest salespeople should read?
The very first book I tell everybody to read, it's every coaching client I have, is How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I love the fact that we live in this high-tech world, but at the end of the day, sales is a relationship business. Always
I
a
love that. And
relationship
I'm gonna
business.
bookend that with Atomic Habits by James Clear, because again, the most successful people have an absolute routine. Hey, what a great show today. Coming up in just a couple weeks on the Sales Logic Expert Exchange. This month, it'll be on the 5th Monday of the month. But boy, we've got another great one. It's typically on the 4th Monday of each month. Just jump out to saleslogicpodcast.com. You can see the registration, get signed up every month. We have a new guest, and it's absolutely powerful. With that, we want to say thank you for listening to Sales Logic. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. Something we've said has earned you a single dollar. Consider telling a friend about our show, because it's how we grow when we help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meredith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
all of this uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical.
I gotta say, amazing audience today. Thank you so much, all you sales experts, gurus, new listeners. We so appreciate you. You really take the show over the top. We'll see you right back here next week for another episode of Sales Logic. Go close a deal.